Good afternoon, everyone. If you'll take your seats on conversations, we call the November the 2nd full commission meeting to order. Chair recognizes Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We call your attention to the invocation portion of our agenda, which will be given today by the Reverend Clarence Moore, pastor of the Good Shepherd Baptist Church, after which would you please stand as we pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this another day that you have made. And we come now praying for those that you have placed in places of leadership as they lead this, our community. We ask that you would continually give them a heart of compassion and allow that the decisions that are made be based not on what is politically expedient, but that which is right for your people. Give them a heart of compassion as they lead. Bless us now, knowing that at one day we will have to give an account of our stewardship to you. Bless us now individually and bless us collectively. For it is in your Son, Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Moore, before you get away, you blessed us, now you got to watch us in action. Reverend, it's always a delight to have you in our presence, invoking God's presence in our meeting place. We would like to thank you for your prayers for wisdom, unity, and divine protection. We receive your thoughtfulness as an act of service for God. May he bless you with peace and love for your kindness shown toward us today. Thank you. And it is by these presents be it known that the Reverend Clarence Moore, pastor of the Good Shepherd Baptist Church, is chaplain of the day. His spiritual guidance and civic leadership serves as an example for all citizens of Augusta. Given under my hand the 2nd day of November, 2021, Hardy Davis, Jr., Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Reverend Moore. Reverend Moore. And if we could, for all of the folks, you've already clapped, but just do it for me today. Everybody say, "Go Cowboys."
Mike, how about them boys?
How about them boys?
How about them boys?
Reverend Moore, I want you to know you, and you know it already, you're in good company in here. Real good company. Yeah.
How about them boys?
That's right.
We ready, sir? Proceed.
We are.
Okay. Call your attention to the presentation portion of our agenda. Presentation and update from Mr. Freddie Broom regarding the Georgia Municipal Association Equity and Inclusion Commission and certification for cities.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're delighted to have with us today GMA's Director of Equity and Inclusion, Mr. Freddie Broom. If you attended the GMA annual convention, there were a series of chats and conversations we had around this matter, how important it is. We began this conversation last year with GMA, Mayor Jim Thornton, Mayor Robert Rickert, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and myself as we launched GMA's Equity and Inclusion Commission with other leaders from across the great state of Georgia. And so he's here today to provide us with a short presentation and to talk about how the city of Augusta can engage around this broad issue of equity and inclusion. Freddie?
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for allowing us to come in and present and talk about our Embrace program that we're offering at GMA. I have a little short video that we'll start off with just to kind of show you what we're doing with our Embrace program as we work with all of our cities across the state. Hello, my name is Freddie Broom, and I'm Director of Equity and Inclusion at Georgia Municipal Association. And I'm excited about the work that we're doing at GMA and Georgia City Solutions with our Embrace program. We're traveling across the state and we're showing everyone the importance of valuing differences and fostering relationships. When we embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion, it allows us to strengthen our organizations and strengthen our communities to create that place where people want to live, want to work, and want to play.
Facilitated by the Georgia Municipal Association and Georgia City Solutions, the Embrace program gives Georgia's cities and partner organizations the unmatched opportunity to participate in a learning experience designed to educate and nurture the essence of valuing differences and embracing equity and inclusion for the betterment of all. In the first 5 months of the program, GMA staff, led by Freddie Broom, have made significant impacts across the state. Since January 2021, the Embrace program has delivered training and learning experiences to over 1,000 municipal officials, as well as Georgia Fire Chiefs Association members, Garden City, Cartersville, Winder and Brunswick city staff, members of the City of Norcross community boards and committees, and one department of the Atlanta Regional Commission. The classes offered through the Embrace program were designed to build diverse, equitable, and inclusive communities by equipping participants with the tools to value differences, which will better serve their organizations and communities. The program's class catalog includes Introduction to Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for newly elected officials, facilitating conversations around race, supervisor training, public safety training, and a basic diversity, equity, and inclusion class. These classes are available for those looking to engage in conversations to enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion in their organizations. Participants in the training classes actively listen, learn, and engage in activities to enhance their learning experiences. Classes are delivered virtually and in person and can be customized to specific groups such as professional organizations, frontline city employees, department supervisors, citizen committees, elected officials, and more. Other diversity, equity, and inclusion offerings include diversity, equity, and inclusion consultation to cities, emotional intelligence training, panelist for fire chief and police chief hiring process, fire department promotional assessment facilitation. The Embrace Workshop Series, which began in June 2021, is a monthly 1-hour training session that allows participants to engage in discussions and activities centered around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Additionally, GMA and GCS will offer the Embrace Roundtable Series. This bi-monthly meeting is designed to bring all cities that currently have or are interested in having diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives together to network and provide support, resources, and technical services. GMA internal staff are also benefiting from the Embrace initiative and in-house diversity, equity, and inclusion experts. In addition to receiving Celebrating Cultures emails, staff participate in a monthly staff roundtable discussion, share resources in a monthly newsletter, and are encouraged to ask questions that lead to constructive conversations. Here's what those who have experienced GCS and GMA's diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are saying.
This type of training is important now more than ever. There is a culture shift that has moved to the point where the minority is now the majority, and not everyone is equipped to handle that shift. As an immigrant, I would like to see the pie shared equitably and that we are all offered the opportunity to be included fairly. Equity and inclusion is the beginning of the harder conversation that needs to happen, and I'm here for it.
I just like to say in regards to the Equity and Inclusion Initiative, kudos to GMA for starting such a fantastic initiative. We're all looking forward to contributing, not just based off race, but, there's different variables, and we're all excited to, just be inclusive as one.
Thank you for your continued support of the Embrace program and its initiatives. Please visit www.gacities.com/embrace to learn more and for regular program updates.
All right, so I wanted to show that video because I always like to do it as an intro so everyone can see exactly what we're doing across the state when we talk about the Embrace program. And so I've had the pleasure to be the director of Equity and Inclusion at GMA now for over a year. And in addition to the training that we're doing, like I said, we're going in, we're training cities, we're training elected officials. We're also working with our communities to find ways to strengthen our organizations to be more engaging. Those are some of the things that we're doing. I just recently was in one city where they had some issues with communicating around issues of diversity, equity, inclusion with their community, and they reached out to us, and we went in and we facilitated a community dialogue. So we actually brought community leaders, business owners, and elected officials together to have conversations of how could they make their communities more inclusive, where everyone feels like they belong. So a lot of things that we're doing is also we're trying to make sure that people truly understand when we say diversity, we say equity, we say inclusion, a lot of times barriers go up and people don't want to have those conversations. And we're trying to make sure everyone understands that when we say diversity, we're talking about differences and making sure that everyone understands that we're different. And when you understand that we're different, you find ways to value those differences. And when we talk about equity, it's about finding ways to make sure our communities are more equitable so everyone is having the same resources as everyone in the community. And then inclusion is important because we all have been a part of a conversation but felt like we wasn't a part of the conversation. And so that's why we also talk about the importance of inclusion, because we don't want anyone in the community to feel like they're part of the community, but they're not a part of the community. So that's what our Embrace program is about finding a way to bring our elected officials, to bring our communities together, to make them stronger, to make them stronger by getting everyone to understand the importance of what is diversity, what is equity, what is inclusion, and how can you better serve everyone. And that's what our Embrace program is about finding ways to embrace equity and inclusion, celebrate those differences for the betterment of our communities, for the betterment of our state. And so we're here to be a service to you. We do consultation services. As the video mentioned earlier, Mr. Don has already talked to me about, I think you have a diversity study that you're doing. And so we're here to even help with that as well when that study comes back. We have one city, the city of Brookhaven, that they're actually finishing up their diversity study, and they've already reached out to us, and we'll be going in there and helping them with their study as well, implementing and making sure that they're successful with the initiative they're trying to do in their communities as well. We're working with not just elected officials, but like I say, we're trying to find a way to bring the community together. This week I'll actually be in Augusta, where I'll be at Wiregrass Technical Community College, where I'm presenting a class to them that's called Equities and Education, Merging the Gap. And it's really trying to help them merge the gap with the demographic gaps they have of making sure all their students have the same resources to be successful as all the students that attend that college. So we're all bringing in elected officials, we're bringing community leaders to that training as well. And so I'm just saying that that's kind of the things that we would love to do, to come in and work with the city of Augusta as well to find ways of strengthening your communities by bringing everyone together to understand the importance of valuing differences, creating equitable processes, and creating a place where everybody feel like they belong and they want to be a part of your community. So I will be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Freddie, for that presentation. We've long said from day one that we want Augusta to be a city of opportunity where people want to live, to learn, to work, and to raise their families. The key phrase is a city of opportunity for everyone, and the way that we accomplish that is through DE&I efforts. And equity is certainly different than equality, and that's an extremely important distinction. Thank you for coming down. I know the commissioner from the 10th has lauded the work. He was there in Thompson at our district meeting the other day, and And he also sat in on the meetings at the annual meeting in Savannah. So are there any questions from members of the commission? Okay. All right, thank you. Administrator Donald, would you like to say hello to a good friend?
Look, I already did, but I would have to say I'm always excited to see, I still say Chief Broom, because he might have been one of my favorite hires, one of my first executive appointments, and ended up being the state of Georgia's Fire Chief of the Year. So really excited to have that gentleman as a part of my coaching tree, and excited to see him do great things around the state.
All right, fantastic. Freddie, thank you so much for coming and sharing this with us, and we look forward to engaging GMA and in particular you in the coming year around DE&I.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for allowing us to present.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I'm going to recognize a couple of folks to recognize the commissioner from the 1st for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I received news about an hour or so ago of the passing of a very respected educator, very respected administrator in the city of Augusta. You know, when we talk about principals, a couple names always pop up, Dr. Welcher being one, Velma Curtis being another, Marion Barnes, other folks who have left a lasting legacy in this city. And today we lost Dr. Anita Evans, principal of Copeland Elementary School, and just a wonderful, wonderful human being. So I wanted us to start this meeting off just, paying homage to her legacy, what she did, what she produced. I know what she produced because she was my elementary school principal, and she didn't play no games. And so I tried to avoid Dr. Evans' office every chance I got, and didn't always work, but I tried my best. But I thought that would be appropriate to open this meeting today, just to give respect to someone who gave so much to this community. And so from me to Dr. Evans, to her family, in her memory, I think I can speak for this whole body when we say we love you. Thank you for what you did, and may God continue to bless her. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 4th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oftentimes we hear those things that maybe the city's not doing. But today I want to recognize the things that city did do and have done. A couple of weeks ago, we had a community cleanup day out at Wood Lake subdivision, which encompasses District 4 and District 5. And I want to pay homage to the Marshals Department, who did a lot of the coordination under the direction of Marshal Ramon Lampkin. Did a lot of the coordination with our community partners such as Keep Augusta Beautiful, who provided the trash bags and the grabbers, picker-uppers. We had Parks and Recs as well under the direction of Director McDowell, who was out there and had his folks out there. Warden Joseph and this crew did a great job as well. Mr. Mayor, we had 2 roll-off containers filled with debris, and we collected over 40 tires out of the Wood Lake subdivision. We had traffic and engineering come in and cut trees that were covering the road or going across the road, and they did a fantastic job. We had street sweepers out in Wood Lake for 3 straight days cleaning the streets of Wood Lake. And so this is what happens when we work together. Mr. Mayor, I believe it works better when we work together. And all of those entities and utilities as well came in and did a fantastic job, and we came through and did a wonderful thing out there at Wood Lake subdivision. So I'm very, very grateful for each of those entities. In addition to that, those entities that I mentioned, there will be many more that will join us on November the 6th. That's this Saturday, November the 6th. I invite all of my commission colleagues, as well as the mayor himself, of course, to come out to the community meet and greet, and you're all invited. It's a meet and greet that I'm having out at Diamond Lakes Community Center, Robert Howard Community Center, Diamond Lakes Regional Park. That will go from 11 o'clock to 2 p.m. We will also be partnering with the Department of Public Health, where we will have vaccinations So if you haven't been vaccinated, please come visit us at Diamond Lakes on Saturday, 11 to 2. There is also the program that we've agreed to put in place. There will be that $100 credit given to you as well for the administration of the shot. And so please spread the word. We want to protect our citizens. We want to protect our employees. We want to protect everyone that we can. So Saturday from 11 to 2, we'll have I don't know, Mr. Administrator, 10, 12 of our department heads that will be out there that will answer questions from human resources, HCD, utilities, traffic and engineering, you name it. The marshal's office will be there, and they'll be available with brochures and things like that to let the community know that we are a community of one, and together we can do great things. And so, again, that will be this Saturday, November 6th, at 11 o'clock, and we will have Department of Public Health. They will be in the racquetball courts. It's not a mobile one, but they will be inside the racquetball courts at Diamond Lakes. Please pass that on to all individuals. You don't have to be in the district to attend, and you certainly don't have to be in the district to come to get vaccinated. So I would highly encourage you to do so. I would love to have my commission colleagues there as well in support of this event. And there will be door prizes and a number of different things that will be given away as well, as from my support or my appreciation for being selected to fill a void and to help this community continue to grow. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity for the point of privilege, and let's continue to do great things for the city of Augusta.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes. Call your attention to the recognition portion of our agenda for presentations from our Director of Human Resources, Ms. Anita Rookert, and the Commission would like to offer its congratulations to our October 2021 Years of Service recipients.
Good afternoon, Mayor Davis, Commissioners, Administrator, and Madam Clerk, and of course, citizens of Augusta. Today, it's with great excitement that the HR Department would like to recognize our October Years of Service recipients. For the month of October, we have 14 employees celebrating 5 to 20 years of service. This afternoon, we'd like to recognize our 25 to 50 years of service recipients. For the month of October, the total years of service and institutional knowledge we're celebrating is 225 years. So when I call your name, would you please step forward? Mayor and Administrator, would you please assist? Kristen Mullen, Information Technology, 25 years. Dana Tutka, the airport, 30 years. Landon Caruth, the Augusta Fire Department, 30 years. George Clements, Parks and Recreation, 35 years. Tangela McCurkle, 911, 35 years. William Young, Augusta Utilities, 35 years. If we all could just give all of our recipients a round of applause.
congratulations to all of our employees for not only your years of service, but your commitment to community and to the teams that you represent. We are forever grateful here in the city of Augusta for all that you do. You make our city what it is. Thank you so much. Coming up on our agenda, we will be having the Greater Augusta Arts Council presentations that will be taking place. If Ms. Durant and her representative can come forward, that would be great. Okay. I believe that's Ms. Marsha Loda, I believe. Okay, all right, I got that right. Okay. All right.
Good afternoon.
Hold on just 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to stay in the mayor's lane. Clerk gonna tell me, you know, Mr. Mayor, do the mayor's business and let me do the clerk business. I just wanted him to get in position. That's all.
Officially, we will have presentations of our annual City of Augusta Grant Awards to various arts and organizations from Ms. Brenda Durant, Director of the Greater Augusta Arts Council.
And I'm Marsha Loda. I'm a professor of marketing and hospitality at Augusta University. I chaired this year's City Grants panel. I would like to at least let you know who our panelists were. They were 8 very committed people who studied books about as big as I am in order to get through the data that we had for all these organizations. Rebecca Rogers, community volunteer. Accountant Paige Tom. VP of Institutional Effectiveness at Augusta University, Mickey Williford. Business Deposit Development Officer with SRP, Jonathan Davis. Community Volunteer, Laura Rollins. Marketing Specialist at Focus Digital Marketing Group, Matthew Frazier. Program Coordinator, Augusta Housing and Community Development, Lasima Thurman. And Sculpture with Pitch Tree Design, Wesley Stewart. So each year, the City of Augusta allocates funding to the Greater Augusta Arts Council to distribute to the nonprofit arts community. City leaders, those within this building, recognize the importance of public financial support to sustain a wide variety of artistic disciplines and expressions. For fiscal year 2022, funds of $71,710 were reallocated to support both general operating grants and project grants. This funding enables arts organizations to provide programming and educational opportunities throughout Augusta-Richmond County, to promote Metro Augusta as a cultural destination, to build the capacity and stability of Augusta's arts and cultural organizations, to enhance the economic development of the city through arts, and to share arts programs and activities with underserved audiences. In alphabetical order, may I present from Augusta Chorale Society, Pat Curry, Board President. The Augusta Chorale is an auditioned volunteer community chorus. Augusta Choral Society is an auditioned volunteer community chorus located in Augusta. The chorus is made up of singers ranging in age from teenagers to senior citizens. From Augusta Chorale, represented by Phyllis Anderson, Artistic Director. The Augusta Chorale celebrates the beauty of song by presenting diverse and challenging chorale music, which inspires its members and audiences. The premier choral group performs at schools, nursing homes, veterans hospitals, arts festivals, and senior centers. The Augusta Chorale also supports voice and music students in their careers through scholarship and joint performance opportunities. Augusta Concert Band, represented by board member Ron Emery. The Augusta Concert Band's purpose is to keep alive the American tradition of community bands by providing quality concert music for the Augusta community. Augusta Mini Theater, represented by Rochelle Cummings, Development Director. Augusta Mini Theater is the first community art school to focus on multiple art disciplines under one roof. Although offerings are relevant and open to the total community, the Mini Theater has filled a void by giving special attention to the artistic needs of the areas historically underserved. And because of that, no student has ever been turned away from classes or performances because of their inability to pay. The Augusta Players, represented by Scott Seidel, Executive and Artistic Director. The Augusta Players is an award-winning nonprofit community theater organization dedicated to presenting the highest quality theatrical productions. Their mission is to focus creative expressions by providing a medium for local actors, musicians, dancers, directors, designers, and technicians to explore their talents and sharpen their skills. Central to the focus is the purpose of creating an artistic environment that attracts and excites diverse members of the community to draw new audience members, participants, and volunteers through the art of quality theater. Barefoot Productions, doing business as Creative Impressions, represented by Shanita Newton, President of the Board of Directors. Creative Impressions has developed into a choral music ensemble of excellence, making an impact on the lives of those it touches. Creative Impressions supports approximately 50 teenagers of diverse backgrounds that range in age from 12 to 18 years. Through weekly training sessions that focus on excellence, a belief in youth development, community support, hard work, and committed leadership, the organization is turning visions of possibilities into exciting realities. Colton Ballet, represented by Kathy DeLoach, Board President. The mission of Colton Ballet is to provide professional quality dance for the community, encouraging and enhancing a greater public awareness and appreciation for dance as an art form. Colton Ballet has directed its community outreach focus on Richmond County Title I schools, where the largest proportion of the student body lives below the poverty level and have very little exposure to the arts. In recent years, the outreach program extended its audience to include local Cedar citizens, as well as the Boys and Girls Club of America, Safe Homes of Augusta, Child Enrichment, Heritage Academy, Lindale, Inc., and Jack and Jill of America. Gertrude Hebert, who was not able to attend today. The Gertrude Hebert is Augusta's only independent non-profit visual art school and contemporary art gallery. The Institute serves as a showcase for regional, national, and international artists, offering rotating exhibits of outstanding contemporary work year-round. In addition, professionally taught studio art classes in a wide variety of media are provided to students of all ages and experience levels. The Imperial Theater, represented by Charles Scavuto, Executive Director. The mission of the Imperial Theater is to preserve the historic Imperial Theater in downtown Augusta, providing a classic venue for performing arts groups, artists, and audiences from Augusta and surrounding areas. Jesse Norman School of the Arts, represented by Gary Dennis, Executive Director. The mission of the Jesse Norman School is to develop students to become creative, caring, visionary, responsible citizens through the transformative power of the arts. The broad-ranged fine arts program challenges students academically, integrates technology, and lays the foundation for the extraordinary life experiences. The Jesse Norman School of the Arts is an after-school program designed to develop and nurture the artistic and creative talents of students. Le Chat Noir, represented by Chris Bailey, Executive Director. Le Chat is an intimate 60 to 100 seat theater with attached lobby and full service bar that echoes a 19th century cabaret, after perhaps too many absinthe. Like its namesake, Le Chat exists to produce and present entertainment to the CSRA that was previously not being offered. Morris Museum of Art, represented by Kevin Grogan, Director and Curator. The Morris Museum is the oldest museum in the country, dedicated to the art and artists of the American South, and the only art museum in the central Savannah River area. Its collection includes more than 5,000 works of art, which are paintings, works on paper, photographs, and sculptures, dating from the late 18th century to the present. Sacred Heart Cultural Center, represented by Millie Huff, Executive Director. Sacred Heart, as you know, is a former Catholic church, now home to various cultural activities, including choral concerts, art exhibits, holiday events, and the annual Garden Festival. Several arts organizations, such as the Arts Council, have their offices in Sacred Heart. Storyland Theater, represented by Beth Goolsby, board member. Storyland Theater's main purpose is to present live quality theatrical productions performed by adults for children and families. Storyland dramatizes excellent, locally written, original plays and musicals based on fairy tale themes, while incorporating imaginative sets and costumes and special effects to expose the children to the finest theater available in the CSRA. Many students who attend the performances would never see a live play if it did not attend with their schools. The desire is that to teach a child the love of the theater, it will encourage attendance at all kinds of arts events as adults. Westiview Festival, represented by Christy Stiles, Executive Director. Westiview is a nonprofit arts organization dedicated to enriching the cultural fabric of Augusta's river region. Westiview provides artists with opportunities to create and for the community to enjoy. Thank you. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you much. Madam Clerk, certainly want to thank the Greater Augusta Arts Council for the work that they do in our city, and to all of our partners who were recognized on the day. The Augusta Commission, thank you for your willingness to support arts. It is certainly what helps make a city go and be what it is. So thank you for that. Madam Clerk, there's been a series of requests for personal privilege. I'm going to go one above that, and I have a late arriving agenda item, and that is that we consent all of the items and adjourn this meeting quickly.
So moved.
Christmas not to the 25th, right?
Right.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Absolutely. All right, Madam Clerk, it's on you.
Okay. Call your attention to the consent portion of our agenda, which consists of items 1 through 15. And for the benefit of any objectors to our alcohol petition on our consent agenda, item number 1. If you are in objection to this alcohol petition, would you please signify your objection once the petition is read? Call your attention to item number 1. Is to approve a new ownership request for a retail package beer and wine license to be used in connection with Aggie's located at 3040 Meadowbrook Drive. Are there any objectors to this alcohol petition? Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, our consent agenda consists of items 1 through 15 with no objections to our alcohol petition, item number 1.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to add agenda item number 17 to the consent agenda.
I think he needed to give you an update on that,
Yeah, we got to get an
sir.
update on that.
You extended it to the 31st.
Then motion to approve.
Okay. Was that Mr. Mason?
Yes,
Okay,
Madam
thank
Clerk.
you.
That's it.
Okay. Voting. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 2nd. State your inquiry.
Yeah, I was trying to ask before we took the vote, how much work has been done over there in the apartment complex?
I think
It's
that's
not
the
on the
update.
consent. You're going to debate that matter.
Yeah.
You're going to hear about it in just a moment. Yep, you're going to hear about it in just a moment, Commissioner.
Okay.
You're fine.
I see where we're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I thought he said
He did.
Right, we did.
He did.
We
He
did.
did. Mhm. It's unanimous.
Madam Clerk,
Yes, sir.
out of an abundance of caution, we're going to go from top to bottom.
Okay. Item number 16 is a motion to approve for a new business request for an on-premise consumption liquor, beer, and wine license to be used in connection with the Cigar Lounge located at 1515A North Lake Road, which received no recommendation from the Public Services Committee on October 26, 2021.
All right, Chair recognizes the
Icons.
Commissioner from the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've just got a couple of questions about this. If there's someone here.
Director Sherman, if you'll approach. Director Sherman, there are a series of questions we have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Sherman, I've only got one question, 2 parts. I know that in this application it says there will be dance, but that's only, according to y'all, is music's going to be there, but no dance floor. Anyway, is there any, in the foreseeable future, Is there any plans to add pool tables or dartboards to the facility?
What does that have to do with anything we're talking about?
Commissioner, I understand there is a pool table in the business, and the applicant is here if you'd like to ask him. If I could read something just for clarity, because I know at the last meeting there was a question about, or maybe a comment thinking that it was only going to be a cigar bar and alcohol. And I mentioned that during our discussions on this, that it could be a restaurant and they could have entertainment. And when we amended the alcohol ordinance and included the definition of a cigar bar or lounge, it does say, among other things, that the establishment may serve meals to be consumed on the premises and which also may provide entertainment. So it could have a pool table or two, but the applicant is here.
Everybody just hold on. We're going to be fine. Commissioner from the 10th, did he answer your question?
Will there be a pool table and darts in this building?
I don't believe you have to answer that question, Mr. Mayor. This is not germane.
All right. I hate to do this.
Is this germane to the?
I hate to do this. I'm still the only one with the microphone beside
yeah, there you
from
go.
the
You're
10th. So everybody just suspend. Sir, if you'll just answer the question, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, this is Dwayne Pearson, 3816 Woodlake Drive, Helpsville, Georgia. Yes, we do have a pool table there. We got the licenses to do gaming, so there is a pool table. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 1st.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second voting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry? There was another question?
No, I said thank you.
Oh, thank you.
He said thank you.
Okay.
I was just going to ask something about the dancing. Is it going to be like a American Bandstand dancing fun times?
Not at all.
I'm just curious.
No, this is an adult thing, so we ain't doing no dance floors. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. McKnight, will you be voting? Thank you. That motion carries 9-1, with Mr. Clark voting no. Item number 17 is to receive an update as requested by the Commission from the Planning and Development Department regarding their approved probation until October 31st, 2021 for Susret Partners doing business as Azalea Park Apartments, 1814 Fayetteville Drive, for violating the occupation tax ordinance.
All right, Chair recognizes the Planning Department to speak to this matter, and we'll take questions as necessary. Director Sherman and Supervisor Widener.
Okay, Mayor, Commissioners, at the September the 7th meeting, we had before you asking you to take action against the business license for Surest Apartments doing business as Azalea Park Apartments, Surest Partners doing business as Azalea Park Apartments, for violating the occupation tax code, which means that in order to have a business license, you're to comply with all state, local, and federal codes and ordinances that may be applicable to your business. The code enforcement has been working with the apartment complex since Surest took it over in 2018. Continue to have issues with the apartments. It was slow in getting results, getting the owners, managers to address the issues. So it got to the point, and it got so bad that we felt that we needed to bring it before you. That's what we did on September the 7th. We had a list of violations at that time. There were 24 cases, and to say that 19 of those cases have been addressed, 5 still remain open, thereabout. And then since September the 7th, we've got a new list of roughly 16 cases with 13 remaining open. At the meeting in September the 7th, we asked you to place them on probation until October the 31st, at which time we'd do another inspection and bring it back before you if everything was not in compliance. Everything is not in compliance, but I'll say it this way, I believe that the city has got the owner's attention and they're making efforts to address the issues. However, on October the 20th, a few of us were out there looking around, seeing how it was going, and we saw a couple of situations that were beyond what the city needs to bring to the attention of a landlord. In one building, there was dried sewage on the first floor. 4 units were occupied. We told them at that time that that building had to be vacated. They did vacate the building within the next few days and put those tenants in other apartments. We went into another building, and an older couple, say my age or so, they were living in an apartment that was completely flooded. And by that I mean you could walk in on the wood floor and water was seeping up through the cracks. You go into the bedroom and the carpet was saturated and you couldn't use the kitchen. It had been this way for 3 months. And at that time we told the manager, and it had been brought to the management's attention. We told them that it needed to be vacated. They needed to find another apartment for the tenants, and they did. So again, I believe that we've got the attention of the management company and the owner. So we have another recommendation, and what we're asking you to approve is to continue the probation until December 31st. And then at that time, we'll do another inspection, but we'll give ourselves a little bit more time. We finished our inspections yesterday morning, so we're going to give ourselves a little bit more time and bring it back to you on January the 18th if we need to. But we're also asking that the Azalea Park Apartments management will contact code enforcement when apartments become vacant. Code enforcement will inspect each apartment when it becomes vacant and identify code violations, inform management to correct the violations, and code enforcement will re-inspect prior to the apartment being reoccupied. There will be re-inspection fees if applicable. So what that means is if we point out a violation, we go back to re-inspect. If it's not in compliance, then that means we'll have to do another re-inspection, and there will be a $50 re-inspection fee, and that's in our codes. And then the last is that a new business license for an ownership other than the current owner will not be issued until all structures on the property are in compliance with applicable codes. When we issue a notice of violation, there's a statement on there that in the event the property is up for sale or the changes hands, the seller has to notify the owner or the buyer of code issues. We're putting this in here to make certain that it doesn't change hands until the issues are addressed. And the attorney for the apartment complex is here, and we have reviewed these issues with him.
Director Sherman, thank you for that. The board is lit up like a Christmas tree. We've got a lot of questions. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the fourth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. First and foremost, the owner continues to neglect his responsibility from where I'm sitting to maintain their property in a safe and sanitary, and the key word is sanitary condition. Because you're standing here referencing raw sewage. And so the question begs, do we need to get the EPD or the EPA involved in this? We take it a step further, not just license and inspection work in this, because you're talking raw sewage. Now we're talking a bigger problem. So where are we there?
No, sir, I don't think that we need to go there. If during the next couple of months, if we find that we do, we will. But and as I was saying, we believe that we have their attention at this time, where there was maybe a disconnect between the owner and the management. They somewhat are working together, and I think that they are addressing the issues. We want to be sure that they continue to, and that's why the recommendations are as mentioned.
Well, it seems to me those recommendations should be a little bit stiffer, because I know you're saying it doesn't seem that way to you. I'm not sure where your level of expertise is as it relates to raw sanitary sewage, but that's certainly something that's that catches my mind right here. Now we're talking about when you say we've got their attention, but what you've said is even though they've corrected some, they gained 16 more.
And we believe that there will be more, and that's why, again, we want to keep the probation period on.
Right, but to me, that's not gaining their attention.
Well, okay.
I'm just saying, I mean, that's not getting their attention. When, I mean, if we're reducing it and there's nothing else happening, that could be considered gaining their attention. But if we're continuing to see additional more and more, it seems to me that we might need to have a stronger, you know.
It's a unique apartment complex. I believe they're in the process of evicting maybe 70 tenants. It's challenging. The tenants recently, when we were out there, the manager was telling us about chairs that was thrown through a window, bullets, shots through their glass. They have challenges as well with their tenants. It's needed. We don't want to completely shut it down because we don't have anywhere for everyone to go. But the conditions that we saw, and a couple of commissioners were out there, they don't want. It's not acceptable.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I'm going to come to our Mayor Pro Tem, but I want to say something. You got 70 people being evicted. I don't know the state of play, and obviously we certainly can hear from the attorney, but one of our jobs as elected officials is to provide for the health, welfare, and safety of all of our citizens. I got 70 people being evicted. I've got an apartment complex that raw sewage is coming up in. That's not acceptable. I understand. Yeah. I heard you loud and clear. And we are tiptoeing our way to January. That's not acceptable. We've got a homeless pandemic on our hands. We're struggling with trying to find places for people already. And now you're telling me you're going to put another 70 people out. I don't know what the reasons are, but this is not acceptable. Notwithstanding the fact that what I'm hearing around the broad health and safety issues, that's not a, well, we'll tiptoe to January. I'm going to go to the Mayor Pro Tem, but we'll come back with a strong recommendation.
Yeah. Now, you said with your recommendations, you need some more time as well as what now? You wanted to do the probation until when?
So the probation will continue on until the end of the year.
Until December?
As apartments become vacant, we want to inspect them. See, we haven't seen all the inside of all the apartments because the tenants haven't called or allowed us to come in. So we've only gone in the apartments where tenants have complained or that have been open and vacant.
Okay.
So
you need more time. And what else did you ask for?
So that this property cannot change hands until the property is in compliance.
Right. Okay. So my motion is going to be to give them until December 31. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, sir.
Till December 31, and the other will take care of itself, correct? About not changing hands.
It will.
Okay. So that's my motion. Until December 31.
Okay.
motion fails without a proper second. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the, I'm going to go to the commissioner from the second because he asked about this earlier. Commissioner from the second. Second, number 2.
You said second, right?
The second,
Yeah,
number 2.
I'm going to make a motion that we'll go ahead and follow it. My colleagues just died, but I won't do it again.
Why didn't you just
Make a
second?
mo-
Why,
how come you just didn't second it?
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we give them until the end of the year and make sure that they, all the areas that Mr. Sherman wanted to cover is in that motion. Because one, it's a horrible place over there where those people are living at. And they are out there trying to do some work, but it's horrible. And we really don't have nowhere for people to go. So that'll be my motion if I can get a second one.
I'll second it.
I have
All right,
2 seconds.
okay. I've got a motion and a second. There's still a lot of debate about this, and we'll get the questions. All right. The chair is going to recognize the general counsel, State Inquiry.
You might.
Okay, you're there.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I just wanted clarification. Was that motion made by Commissioner Dennis Williams?
Yes.
Included subject to the conditions as stated by?
It was.
Okay.
It was. And we're going to have him read those, and so everybody's clear on them. We're going to have him read those.
Well, he could submit, he can read them and submit them to our office.
That's
to make
right.
sure we got those.
That's right.
He said continue until December 31, 2021, and bring back January of 2022 if needed to include the additional requirements and recommendations as outlined by the Director of Planning Department. So.
And they do not change hands.
Yeah, well, that's a part of the recommendations.
All right, so let's do
Commissioner
this,
Son.
Madam Clerk, if you don't mind. Let's read those so that everyone's clear on those. In addition to that, I don't want to wait until December 31st to hear back from you. I want to hear back from you at our next meeting about the progress that they're making up until our last meeting of this fiscal year, which I'm hoping this commission does what we've done in the past. After we adopt the budget, we have one meeting in December, so hopefully that's where we'll be, just like we've been before.
So that would be the November 16th meeting, sir?
Yes, ma'am. All right. So we want to hear back from you during that time.
November 16th.
November 16th, yeah.
All right, if you'll read those into the record.
Okay, so the recommendation at this time is to continue the probation until December 13th, 2021, and at which time review the status and, if necessary, bring back to the commission at the January 18th, 2022 commission meeting. However, there will be a status report at the November 16th meeting and meetings thereafter. Number 2, Azalea Park Apartments Management will contact code enforcement when apartments become vacant. Code enforcement will inspect each apartment when it becomes vacant and identify code violations, inform management to correct the violations, and code enforcement will re-inspect prior to the apartment being reoccupied. Re-inspection fees will apply. And number 3, a new business license for an ownership other than the current owner will not be issued until all structures on the property are in compliance with applicable codes.
Thank you, Director Sherman. Madam Clerk, you have that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Chair recognizes the Commissioner from the first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question for Director Sherman is, after we come back from the period that we just agreed on, or that we're getting ready to vote on, what happens if there's been no progress made at these apartments?
I'm going to be optimistic and believe that they will continue to make progress. I believe that their attorney will be on the phone with them this afternoon, letting them know. And in the event that there is no progress, then we would ask you to revoke the business license.
And by revoking the business license, that would mean that Azalea Park would then have to shut down.
They would have to vacate it, and then it cannot, business license could not go there for another 12 months.
Okay, well, my only comment to this item, and is really putting me in a really weird space, is because this is Azalea Park, but you still have the same situations at, the Richmond Summit, the Bonaire, Fox Den, and all these places have the nerve to be raising their rates for rent, but folks are not able to afford anything better than that. The wait list for Section 8 is years. It's almost a joke. It's amazing to me how many items come before this body about quality affordable housing. Like, oh my goodness. So the question that I'm asking is, I only asked that question because I wanted to, again, highlight the urgency that we have right now with quality affordable housing in this city. During our budget work session, we just talked about allocating money for that as well. Like, at the end of the day, people don't have any other option but to choose an Azalea Park because they can't afford nothing else. So I really hope that we get aggressive but not heavy-handed to the point where we're going to be in legal session talking about it. But at the end of the day, folks should not have to live in this kind of condition. We shouldn't have to come back and contemplate revoking the business license and potentially putting people out on the street. My grandma lived in Azalea Park. Thank God I could get her out of there. But at the end of the day, we have got to get a handle on quality, affordable housing in the city, because if not, you got all these tenants that potentially may wind up on the street if the glass is half empty. So again, I just want to submit that to the record, and I just really hope that we're able to get to some resolve without having to shut this place down. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To my colleagues, I was one of those commissioners out there along with Commissioner Dennis Williams. I don't know who else might have came through. It was a very horrible situation out there. But also, if you had the attorney here, I'd like to see the attorney, speak to some of these things, especially about the potential transition, in particular ownership. How do we hold them accountable? And I'd like to ask the attorney a question around that. But first, I'd like to see does the owner, by way of the attorney, agree to what he heard today?
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Dave Dunaway with the Holbert Law Firm. I got involved immediately before the last commissioners meeting that we were at. I spent the last 2 months trying to get up to speed, working with the owners, also the local property owners. I will do my best to answer questions. A lot of the things involving potential sale, I'm not involved in that. But any of the issues you'd like me to speak to, I'll do as best I can.
Well, I was just wondering about the things, the conditions that you're talking about, are trying to bring the property up to standards in the timeline. Is that something that the owners agree to?
Yes, sir. It's the timeline we agree to. We're in full agreement of give us 2 more months. This new list of notice violations, these are all things that have arisen in the last 2 months, and my understanding is we got the actual notices last week. We have been working on them in addition to the original list. I'm not going to go into the original list, but the 5 that are remaining open are things that I've discussed with Director Sherman, and these are not individual unit issues. These are permitting for the entire buildings, things like that, that I don't think they have an issue with the current status of the 5 original that are still open. We addressed all the individual units that were on the original list. We've got these new 12 or 13 notices that we're ready to get on right now. I have seen the list. I don't even have the details of what's going on with those new notices, though.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask Attorney Brown a question, please.
Proceed.
Attorney Brown, is there any way that we can legally hold them at bay in the event that a transition of ownership begin to take place? Can we put a lien on the license or something to make sure the transition of ownership doesn't take place in the midst of this?
It is not so much, I believe, whether whether it's transferred or not, the new owners cannot operate without a separate new business license.
Okay.
So therefore, I
That
believe
gives us the leverage we need.
Yes.
Okay, okay. And final, but not least, Mr. Administrator, now ACD, from what I've seen out there, when I was out there, I'd be very surprised if they get up to snuff in a very, in that short window, because I can tell you, we'll talk here, as you heard Mr. Sherman mention, he's only identifying the complexes that he was able to get into. And there's many as not. So as he continue to go in there, he's going to bring back different buildings. And what's going to happen is commission's going to naturally assume you're in the same place, but no, you're in the same complex, but you're in another building. And so we need to prepare at the same time and see how the best will be to help these families, because I think that's where we're going to end up at. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Hassan, Commissioner from the 6th. Chair recognizes the, before I come back to the 4th, let me go down to the 10th. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 10th, and then I'll close out with the Commissioner from the 4th.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for the attorney of record, please.
Proceed.
Your clients are getting these apartments up to standard as quickly as possible.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. Do you think your clients would be willing to put some of these people up in clean, warm, safe motels while they are getting these apartments ready?
My understanding is we did move 5 week before last in the building that Commissioner Song was referring to that he saw, and we had available units that we moved them into. Within, I think it was a Tuesday this happened, by Friday we had them in those units. And those units, as I understand it, there are no issues or problems with. We have units available, and they were inspected and passed before we put them in those new units. So we have available space. And again, my understanding is we found out about that day. That was a result of a third-party company that came out and was shooting the sewer lines, did not do it properly. We've since gotten that company and another one out there to fix the problem. Now we're addressing it, but we got those 5 people into other units that were inspected and approved before they went into them.
Okay, thank you.
Chair recognizes the Commissioner from the 4th, and then the Administrator is going to close it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can empathize with the property owners, business owners from a business aspect, but my focus here is for the citizens and what to do moving forward. It appears that we are kicking this proverbial can down the road. What you've said here in terms of Mr. Sherman is that although some issues have been addressed, the owner continues to neglect, this is what you're saying here, his responsibility to maintain the property in a safe and sanitary condition. But then going even further than that, the recommendation says that if all code violations by November 2nd, which is where we are now, have not been corrected, the recommendation will be to revoke the business license, at which time no new tenants can move into the property. So are we not going to do what you recommended? Or why did you recommend it? And now why is there something different? Because you said here, if it has not been corrected, which you've told me it has not, or told us, then this was what your recommendation would be.
So I'm talking about the cases that we are aware of. The tenants do not ask, the tenants have gotten to the point where they don't complain to the management because they'll be evicted or for some other reason.
Or complaint?
The tenants right now are complaining to us and not going to management. So one thing that we've discussed is that if this is what you agree to, that we will meet with the attorney and Terrence and myself, and we'll come up with a plan. So the tenants they've got to report it to the management, and management has got to be given the opportunity to fix it before they bring it to us. Because if they call us, we ask them, did you call management? If they say no, then we call management. They say, I didn't know anything about it.
Right, but did I hear you say that if they recall, they'd be evicted? Is that what I heard you say? I mean, is that what I heard you say?
That's how it works. That's how it works. If you Google it, do research, if you do, affordable housing, and what you'll find is that when tenants complain on the landlords about code issues, the next thing you know, the landlord gets a notice from code enforcement throughout the country, not just here. The landlord then finds a reason to have the tenant evicted. So this, I think, is a good approach to it. We do not know what all the code issues are out there at this time. We feel that we will continue to have people get in touch with us as it's more publicized, and we'll address those issues.
No, that may be a practice that goes on. It's unacceptable to me, but that may be a practice that goes on. But then I can't see how, at the same time, if that's happening, then there's a statement that they're working with us and we've got their attention, but yet we're still evicting. Now, having said that,
well, and if I can address that, so what I'm saying is that that list that we had back in September,
right,
they've worked on that. What I also said was that in 2018 they didn't work on but very little, and after repeated notices to them to work on these issues. But since we got their attention, since they've been before you, they have started working on these issues. And again, tenants have notified us, and that's where we came up with this new list. We believe that the list will continue. We think that we'll
let me kind of bottom line it from my view of what I'm seeing, because see, there's what's said here, and I'm just going by what was said. The results of the inspection will be presented at the regular scheduled meeting on the commission November 2nd. That's today. Then here's what's said after that. If all code violations have not been corrected, the recommendation will be to revoke the business license, at which time no new tenants can move into the property. That was your recommendation, right?
It is.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out where did we differ based on, because this is what I studied over the weekend so that I would know where I was at today.
So when we went out there, I mean, where are they going to go? If we close them down, where will they go?
And I feel that, and that's kind of where we could have came to right from the very beginning, instead of we got their attention, because I don't think we have their attention necessarily. But I understand the 70, Mr. Mayor. I do understand the 70 and the issue. But Mr. Mayor, my final thing is this, and we've mentioned this raw sewage, and we keep glossing over it.
Before you go further, let me say it's not raw sewage as bubbling out of the ground. This is where the toilet, the sinks, they overflowed, and they didn't go in and clean it up. It dried. It looks like dried dirt because there's dirt in the apartment. Totally vacated.
Well, here's the thing, because we're going back and forth. I'm not the one who said raw sewage.
Right.
That was you.
I did.
So all I'm saying is I can only go off of what you're telling me so that I can make a decision up here. Because if you're talking raw sewage, that's serious business. And our EPA, EPD, and all that need to get involved. We need to protect our citizens. But now if you're telling me it's not.
Well, no, I should have described it a little bit better, and perhaps a picture would have done it better. But it's not toilet tissue flowing up out of a toilet. But it is. It was observed by others. If anybody wants to help me out here. And
let me
that
help
whole
you out.
building.
Let me help you out. Let me help you out. And I'm gonna help all of us out. I've got a motion and a second. Voting. I'm sorry, everybody suspend. The commissioner from the 7.
I mean, I guess my thing is, can we add to this motion of like getting a report before December 31st?
He's coming back on the 16th.
I mean,
he's coming back on the 16th.
Okay.
Voting. Madam Clerk, you know how I stayed out your lane? I wish I'd get the same.
Okay, Mr. Sherman's lifeline has been approved 9-1, with Mr. Mason voting no.
Come on now. Sean said, let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Sean. Motion approved.
Madam Clerk, it's on you.
Okay, item number 18 is to consider refund request in the amount of $2,170 for a Richmond County resident relative to non-solid waste pickups.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
May I have a question?
I have an answer.
Okay.
Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 6th.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The things that need to be to award this tenant, we need to see some of the things. One of it says about the procedure for this. The property owner shall request an exemption on the appropriate form. Do we have that form?
Chair recognizes the attorney.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think you need to recognize environmental services.
Okay. Are they here?
They've been here.
Okay. All right. All right, he's coming. An answer is coming by way of Federal Express.
Okay.
Maybe UPS. Maybe USPS. Maybe Amazon Prime.
We do have an address. In the packet last week. Yeah, they need to approach.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Chair recognizes Administrator Donald.
Yes, so our new deputy director is going to answer some of those questions, but one of the items that was just brought to my attention is that we have not stated for the record the name and address of the applicant requesting. So you have for
No, there's two.
I'm sorry, the name and two addresses.
It was stated in the record last meeting. I read off both addresses.
All right, we're going. Yes, Madam Clerk, if you would.
During the last meeting, I read off both addresses on Mike Paget Highway that these apply to.
Well, okay, let's look at item number 18, and we can verify that those are the properties in which you're now contemplating taking action on, for the record.
All right. Director.
Ms. Bond, Mr. Mayor, I have the addresses in the book if they want that.
Okay, we
Is
do
this
want that.
the Mike Paget
Yes.
5036A Mike Paget Highway and 5036 Mike Paget Highway?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Okay.
very well.
Is this Douglas Fuller
Fuller. Yes, ma'am.
Fuller and Barnes.
and Barnes?
Both of these has Fuller on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of those have Mr. Fuller's name on them.
5036.
Yes,
And
5036A.
5036A,
Hold on.
Douglas Fuller, owner, on the information that was submitted to us. I think I put that in your packet, Mr. Garrett.
We do have it, Madam Clerk. That's absolutely what it reads.
I have 5036 and 5044. That was what was read into the record on last Tuesday. One is for Fuller and one is for George B. Barnes III. That was the original, that was actually the original, and then Fuller was also added.
Mr. Mayor, can I proceed with my question?
Yeah, and then we'll come back to reading.
Yeah, because the question becomes now, we talking about 3 properties now?
No, 2.
Properties or what?
It's 2.
Still 2 properties.
Yeah.
We're just clarifying the addresses and the owners.
Okay.
But your question is related to.
Yeah, it said the property owner shall request an exemption on the appropriate form. Do we have the request form, the exemption form?
Deputy Director, he's asking you that question.
No, sir.
State your name and your title, and you can respond to his inquiry about do you have applications for the property.
So my name is Gerald Adair. I'm the Deputy Director for Environmental Services. No, sir, we do not have the form.
Okay.
For either address?
We have it for, so what happened was, it was 3635 Mike Padgett Highway. I believe that's the address, but it was a 3536A and a 3635. And so we have a service modification for one of those addresses and not both.
Do you, where is that? Do you have it with you?
No, sir, I do not.
Sir?
No, sir, I do not.
Can you get that?
I can. I can get the service modification.
When was that submitted, sir?
This was submitted June of 2013.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I recommend that we not do this until we get it, because I don't see how, no disrespect to you, sir, knowing that we was going to be doing this and we need this information. This was a heavily discussed information last week. Until we get that document, we don't need to approve this, because it can wait to the next committee cycle and put it back on the agenda for appropriate documentation. And I fully support if we got the documentation for it. I just don't want to see us do this. And I think, and no disrespect to my colleague Commissioner Garrett in particular, I know in your neighborhood, I would say in your part of your district, you have plenty of communities that have sets 200 feet back, which give them the first qualification. Then they do the exemption form. The ESD goes out and does the inspection, and they make all that happen. I don't want us to open the doorway for this with no appropriate documentation, and that's all. So if they can give us appropriate documentation, I fully support this. But I think right now we ought to push it back to the committee cycle up until they get the appropriate documentation to us to show that this is has been submitted. Because also now, what we hear Commissioner Garrett is saying, he is saying another of Mr. Bonds. You know, that could have been last week. I could have just missed it. But we need documentation for that.
If you'll go back and listen, you'll hear both addresses read into the motion that was made. And then, per your request, we waited until this week with no recommendation. And so I think we need to move forward. There's a proper motion and a second on the floor.
No, sir, Mr. If we ain't got documentation, it is like, and just he said, Mr. Bonds now, our deputy director is saying to us that he may have it he has it for one of them, but he don't have it with him. And then the bonds, we're not even addressing that one. Does he have for that? So I would recommend that we push it back to the committee cycle until we get appropriate documentation, because if we do not, we are opening the floodgate. And another thing I need to know, we ought to be knowing, is how are they disposing of their garbage if they're not using city services? Because that's a part of the procedure as well. And so I recommend that we push it back. I'll make a substitute motion that we send it back to committee cycle.
Second.
Okay. All right, I've got a substitute motion with a proper second. There's still, again, I'm going to wade in on this conversation. The commissioner from the 8th, everything he said, the gentleman knows of what he speaks. Mm-hmm. He did, in fact, read all of those things into the record on last week. He absolutely did that. In addition to that, the conversation as it relates to any additional paperwork that's needed, again, I'm not smart on that. I can't speak to that. But we have the deputy director here who's about to provide clarity on what he has. So let's hear from him. Madam Clerk, the substitute motion is to move this back to committee with a proper second, just for the record. All right, I'm going to hear from the deputy director so he can provide clarity, and then we'll come back and dispose of these two motions, the substitute and the main motion. All right, deputy director.
Yes, sir. So I do have the form. I can get the forms here. I can get the service modification form faxed to me in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, so they do exist. They've been completed. You
Right.
just don't have them in your possession.
Yes, sir.
For both or one?
One.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Chair recognizes the general counsel.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, just a little guidance regarding this. What needs to appear for this matter is a request for, on the form approved by, pursuant to the exemption policy approved by the Commission, which is in your book, which Madam Clerk provided in your book this week. There should be a form, and there also has to be a showing that the exemption request was approved. In addition, if the exemption request was approved, there is a 4-year statute of limitation regarding the refund that can be done. The law does not permit the requester to have a right to go back further than 4 years.
Okay. So
Where was this in committee? We asked this question.
Everybody just suspend. All right, Attorney Brown, are you continue?
I think that was it.
Okay.
At last week, the commission tasked that Environmental Services and the Law Department look into it. The Law Department looked into it as to the legalities of it, because there was, I believe, some rejection by the requester to accept anything less than 7 years. As the commission policy was found from 2014 is when the policy was approved. It was initially allowed for Environmental Services Director to set up some fee structure and some policies in 2013, but it was not until it came back to the commission on June 17th, 2014. It did not get approved at that hearing. It was moved up further to July 15th, 2014, when the exemption policy was approved. And the commission gave a procedure by which the policy, an exemption could be had. It had to be requested on a form, it had to be approved by the department, and it had to be communicated to the citizens that the approval was there. So you do need proof of some kind that there wasn't a request, a written request for the exemption, that it was approved. If it was approved, the state law says that when the government owes you money, when there is money had and received improperly, the requester or the damaged party has up to 4 years to request that.
Okay.
So
Point of personal privilege, Mr. Mayor.
I'm not advocating that a refund cannot be given. I'm saying in the event that the commission approves a refund, it would be only up for a period of 4 years.
Absolutely. So we've got clarity on what our posture is. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to recognize the author of this, the commissioner from the 8th, chairman of Engineering Services. And then after I recognize him, I'm going to vote on the substitute.
Mr. Mayor.
Hold on.
Point of personal privilege before you do that.
No, I'm going to go to the commissioner from the 8th. Commissioner from the 8th, you're recognized.
Thank you. I believe some of these questions were asked during the committee cycle, and if this is the clarification that we can only give back to 4 years, why is even the directors have the ability to give 3 years without even coming to the commission? That's my first question. The only reason that this item is even before the commission is because the director requested it, because they looked at the history, saw that they had never received service for the 7 years in question, and basically said, I need the commission approval to be able to give the full amount back. The director said that he agreed with it, and that's where we stand today.
Chair recognizes Attorney Brown. Parliamentary, clarify for us.
I don't disagree. Those are just the facts. However, the law is just the law. The law is that the requester has up to 4 years to make a demand for monies that were had and received, in this case by the government, in order to request that. If you go beyond those 4 years, you are treading very heavily on granting a gratuity.
Okay, so would you recommend that I amend my original motion to state that we refund for 4 years?
Well, before you even get to that point, I've got a substitute. That's a superior motion.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, let me.
All right, hold on. All right, I've got a substitute. That's a superior motion. I want to vote on this.
No, Mr. Mayor, let me do point of personal privilege, please.
State your inquiry.
Yeah, because Mr. Mayor, what's happening now? If it moves forward like it is, you got both of those entities on the table. Only one that the deputy is saying that he may potentially have it, and that could be the request. We don't even know whether it was approved. I have no problem with, based on my motion, that if whatever we need to do, this can be on the special call meeting next week. You don't have to go back to the full commission. Special call meeting, we can resolve it. The documentation is there. But my colleague's motion, the original motion, is approving both of those, and only saying only one of them got documentation.
Commissioner, from the 6th, here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest that you amend your substitute motion and refer this to our special call meeting on next Tuesday, and that all supporting documentation related to this matter, compliant with the law, be brought before us, and then the commission be prepared to take any appropriate action at that time, with any suggestions that the attorney provide.
I'll make a substitute motion that this be referred to our next special call meeting with all the appropriate documentation that the attorney says that we need to make a decision on this. That's my substitute motion.
Attorney Brown.
And we can do this special call meeting.
Special call meeting. Attorney Brown.
Also, we do need to know if the requester is requesting and will be bound by a return for 4 years. We do not need to grant 4 years and continue to be subject to a lawsuit. And I simply say that because I believe there was a writing that they would not accept anything less than 7 years.
And if the appropriate documentation is there, and we can give 4 years, we fully fund them according to the law.
We've already given guidance to follow the law. We will follow the law, and we'll bring that back. That's our substitute motion, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Voting. Make it
Do
4.
one more.
One more. In the words of the former commissioner from the FER, one more again.
One more. Okay. Ms. Scott? She's out.
She's gone.
Okay. That motion carries 6-3 with Ms. McKnight, Mr. Garrett, and Mr. Clark voting no. Ms. Scott out.
Madam Clerk, I believe we've got one item remaining.
Yes, sir.
Number 19.
Item 19 is to accept recommendations of the Richmond County Board of Health and the Richmond County Medical Society to reappoint the following to a 4-year term: Dr. Thomas Keeman, Dr. Stefano, and Mr. Ken Eccles.
Chair recognizes the Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir. I want to make a motion to reappoint Dr. Thomas Keevan, Dr. Stefano, and I want to add Dr. Angela Overstreet Wright. Angela Overstreet to replace Ken Eccles.
Okay, there we go.
And for the record, sir, we do have Dr. Wright's talent bank on file as required.
Voting.
That motion carries with Mr. Franum, Mr. Garrett, Ms. Scott, and Mr. Clark out.
Madam Clerk, thank you. I believe this meeting is adjourned.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
to recognize Mr. Butch Gallup.